the interesting thing, like, when we were talking about the fact that like it took a long time for the book to come out, there was times where my confidence kind of went up and down. Like I didn't, like even like I said, like even with issue 2 coming out, like my confidence was all over the place. It was like, like it's like sometimes you think like, well, we had all this time, are we going to deliver something that's really people are going to really like? Is it overhyped? Is it overblown? Like, and so when that first issue came out and we started hearing reviews that were really, really positive, it was like, oh, like it was like a monkey off your back. Like it was like, like we really, like Jeff and I both had a sigh of relief, because we were like, we really didn't know. Like you really don't know. Like you can have, like Jeff had guys like Brad Meltzer reading through to make sure that everything was okay, and that we weren't skipping there weren't plot holes. I'm sure there's going to be plot holes. Like it's just, that's what happens in any story. But he had like Pete Tomasi giving him like critiques on things, and we had Jim Lee giving us critiques on stuff, but each person kept coming back and was super positive about what they were reading, and so that felt really good. So when that first issue came out and people were really excited about it, it was like there was like a sigh of relief. And then issue 2, I haven't even, like, I looked at a couple reviews really early on, and then I haven't looked at anything. And issue 3, same thing. I don't know if I really want to know what people think. It's gonna like, because I don't know. I think it might be polarizing, but that's kind of what you want. You want that in a story. But
yeah, and you're not joking about your level of apprehension before these books come out. Like, I spoke to you the nights before the release of both book 1 and book 2, and both times you said you weren't going to be able to sleep that night. I
went through, leading up to issue 1, I was really stressed out, and Jeff was super confident until I talked to him, and was like, and then he was like, oh no, and then he was starting to really overthink it too, and then he was kind of scared too. I don't know, like both of us, I don't think realized that we were just trying to set out just to tell like just a decent, good Batman story. But then the hype, and then the sales numbers, and we were like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know, maybe we're over. And then Jeff had said something, like he was talking to somebody, and he had said something like, he said something like, I've never written in continuity Batman, like a Batman story. Like he did like Earth 1 and Batman, and he's written Batman and Justice League, but he never did like a main Batman book. And he's like, I never really realized until now, like, that this, like, the fan reaction to this, and like how big Batman really is as a book, like he's like, I never really got it until now. And now I'm seeing like the hype and everything leading up to it. It started to kind of phase him a bit too, because he's like, I just figured we were just writing a Batman story, and I mean, we set out to write the best Batman story we could right from the beginning, and we really pushed ourselves all throughout it to make it better and better and better. But like, it didn't really hit until it was getting close to the book launching, and then when the book launched too, and both of us just kind of sat there and we were kind of bewildered, like really stunned by how everything went. But I think that you have to be like, you have to be humble, and you have to kind of sit there and think like, maybe people won't like this thing. Like maybe I just wasted 2 years of my life drawing this thing. But Jeff, but Jeff and I, we both talked about it, and we both said, you know what, we produced a book that we were proud of. And even if this thing's a flop and it doesn't sell and people hate it, we are both really proud of the story, because we really believed in the story and the message of the story, and really believed in where we went with the story, and we were happy with it no matter how it would turn out, because you never really know how it's going to turn out. And like right now there's Joker War going on, and You know, it's like people like there's so much Joker stuff, and it's like we were kind of a little peeved at that you know. But I kept saying to Jeff, like, you know, like competition's good. Like competition makes you push yourself even further, and that's what we did. As we saw Joker War coming out, we kept saying, okay, let's up our game. Let's put more into this story. Let's really go for the jugular in the end here. You know, like let's really lay it on all out. And so, you know, we feel like we've done that. And so, you know, but we'll see at the end of the month what the reception is.
I think you guys absolutely did that. It's, you know, when I'm like for myself, like I think as long as, you know, whoever you are, like if you stick to what you do best and put your best foot forward, you know, just put the blinders on and do what it is that you do, you know, everything will work out. And I mean, that's beyond obvious, you know, for you guys at this
coming
point.
from a guy we call the Grumpler too, Jason.
Yeah.
That's high praise right there.
Jay, I wanted to ask you, like, I mean, the art is great and the story is great, but like what I've noticed in these two books is like there's, you know, these intense moments, like, you know, foreboding, like, you know, oftentimes you're reading a comic book and you read and you'll skip, or, you know, you just kind of whatever. But like each panel, each, you know, page, there's the intensity ramps up. Like, do you, as a creator, like, you know, you're on the inside, you know, looking out, I guess, but when the project is finished, like, are you able to see that, like, and feel that intensity in these books?
You know, the first time you read through it, like when you read the lettered PDF or whatever that they send you, you feel it. After a while, you kind of get numb to it because you're rereading. Like I probably reread that book 30, like all 3 issues. I probably reread them like at least 20 times each. You know, as we were going through final tweaks and final lettering, and Jeff would send he would change things. Like we were, like I said, like it wasn't just like, oh, Jeff wrote the script and that was it, and then just publish it. Like he was going back and he wanted to bring more and more layers to what was being said, and really layer it on and push it and push it and push it. And, you know, like when you're, the interesting thing about this, and this might blow people's minds, is that I worked from a script that had no dialogue. So Jeff pretty much just said, Jeff would say like close up of, well, let me find a page so I can like actually, you know, go through this. Like, you know, there's a scene where Jason Todd is with the Joker and he's strapped to the chair in book 2. Jason Todd is when he's like strapped to the chair naked, and it's like, you know, like Jeff would just be like, you know, 2-shot Joker looking down at Jason Todd, and he's talking. That's all it would say, and then it would be like reverse shot. So Jason Todd yells at the Joker, then we close in on the Joker and he's starting to crack up, and then he cracks up and he laughs really hard and he's trying to fight it, and then Jason Todd's face, and he's like, what's going on? And the Joker close in on his eyes, and then Jason Todd. Like that's all it would say. Like, and he would essentially what he would do too is he would call me and he would be like, all right, this is kind of what they're gonna say in this scene, you know. Every once in a while he would put in a little line of dialogue like, this is what the Joker says here, you know, so you could really highlight that. But a lot of it was just from Jeff, because Jeff is like I said, like he's also a visual storyteller. Like all of this is visually, like he knows what he wants in every panel. That's why it takes so long for him to write this, because he truly, like even with Doomsday Clock, like he truly thinks about everything in each panel and how each panel flows into the next panel, and how, like when you're writing a 9-panel grid, like you got to have, like usually the middle panel on a 9-panel grid, that middle, it's the panel 5, usually is always something that's going to be a highlight. It's a close up of a character. It's a pullback on a situation. It's things like that. And so like he really understands his visual storytelling, and that's why it makes it makes it easier for my job because I can just trust in what he's putting down on the script. Like if he's telling me to do a close-up of Jason Todd angry, okay, I'm going to draw that. Even though I don't really know what we kind of talked about what is going to be said in that scene, but it's not all the dialogue is explicitly laid out. He would go back after and he would start to dialogue it as we would hand in pages. And then sometimes we went back and changed panels. He'd say, can you change this panel? I want Barbara's face to be a little more shocked, or I want Batman here to be a little more shadowed, and maybe we pull maybe closer in on his eye or something like that. And so we did that, and it was a back and forth. It was like a true collaboration, and so that's how we worked. And I had to kind of imagine in my head what was going on, but he matched up the dialogue perfectly with what I had drawn. And in some cases it really boosted what I had drawn. Like it really, there's that scene in issue 1 where Joker says he's saying he's repeating back what Jason Todd had said to him. He says I want to be your Robin, and I had just drawn a close up of Joker's eye, not really knowing what was even going to be said in that scene. That whole speech didn't come about until almost a year later, when he started to actually go through and letter and put the dialogue in, and then he puts that in, and it's just holy, it's a genius. It's so chilling, And so the first time I read that, it was whoa, you really get hit with it. But it's an odd way of working, but it worked. I trusted that he's going to come up with some great dialogue. I think he did the same thing with Doomsday Clock. It was he just knew what he wanted in each panel, and Gary drew it, and then Jeff went in and dialogued it, and it just flows because Jeff knows exactly what he's doing. He really is the best writer, in comics.
It also, I feel like it gives a platform to your art too by doing that. And because, when you read through this stuff, like Grumps was saying, and kind of to go back to what you were saying, as far as there's a lot of Joker out right now. There's a lot of stuff that you feel maybe, in the greater scheme of comics, you're kind of competing against stories or whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I'm certain it has a combination of things to deal with, but I feel and to know, not to discredit any other book or creative teams right now, but just flipping through the book, looking through it, reading through it, the feeling and the weight of it, it kind of makes nothing else really matter. This feels like the most important, it's you're reading this book and it just feels important. It just feels important, And so that kind of, I guess, says a lot to your art, because Jeff is kind of allowing you to, when you look, there's so much emotion and weight in the art, and it makes sense now, because if you're given kind of just an outline and not really specifics on dialogue, that's leaving a lot to you as the artist to interpret the emotion of the scene. And so when he comes in and he kind of puts words to those pictures with an already extremely heavy emotional tone, it just elevates it that much more. And so that's why I was there's parts of this book where especially in the aquarium, when I'm looking through it, I was like, God, this feels like it's part of when you see that exterior, you see that shot of Gotham in the first Tim Burton movie, where he has that wide out of that Gotham, the Gotham skyline, and then you bring it in to kind of, so it gives you that feeling this is the Gotham that we're in right now. So it gives the audience, this is what it's supposed to feel like. Now check out what's happening on these streets. And when I was going through that aquarium, I remember thinking this is the scariest aquarium I would ever be in. At night, empty, walking through it, this is terrifying. And I remember thinking man, there's such a tone to this. It's not there's such a grit, and you can feel it. And it really says a lot about, I guess, that process that you're talking about, is you are given so much responsibility with the art to create that. And then you got Jeff Johns, freaking Jeff Johns is who's the guy that's writing it. So I mean, it's awesome that you felt that you were nervous, but on this end, man, there was no, I mean, I knew this was going to be a huge book. I remember a year ago, people were talking about in the group chat, oh yeah, this is coming out, that's coming out. And I was like, I'm cool, man. Nothing matters until Three Jokers. Nothing matters. Like, everything's cool. Like, I'm not even gonna get mad if they kill this character, if Alfred dies, if Batman is somebody else, whoever. Like, nothing matters till Three Jokers. And it definitely feels that way right now. I feel like, you know, when you're asking somebody, hey, I really want to get into comics, or like, what is something I can jump into right now? It's like, dude, Three Jokers. Right now, you can read this right now. So definitely has like, you know, you definitely have cemented that in right now to the current timeline.
Going back to what you're saying about like the emotion, one of the things that Jeff and I talk a lot about, mostly because like right now we're trying to formulate, like we have a couple different projects that we're kind of starting to formulate right now. And so we're tossing out ideas. And one of the best parts about working with Jeff is he is a true collaborator. Like, he wants you as part of the process, and he's okay with, he wants to take your best ideas and he wants to give you his best ideas, and he wants to see where it'll go. And one of the things, like, the funny thing is we really have a balance between the two of us. Like, Jeff comes at every story from an emotional angle. His argument is always, well, what is the emotion that I want to feel in this? I come at every story from a muscle angle. I am like, I want to just see like Batman, high testosterone Batman beating the crap out of this guy. I want to see Batmobiles driving through buildings. I want to see fights. And Jeff's always like, that's all, that stuff is great, but you got to have, where's the emotion of this character? Where's the emotion of this story? And so I bring a lot of the muscle, and Jeff brings a lot of the emotion. But everything in storytelling goes back to emotion. And so many times during this book, he's like, this is what I want people to feel. Like, he would even write that in the script. I want people to feel this during this scene. And it's scary when you kind of see that on the page, when you're reading a script and you're going like, how do I make people feel this feeling, you know? But you just you slowly kind of break it down. And again, if we had to rush this thing out as a monthly book, I don't think I would have hit a lot of those things. I would have taken the easy way out of a lot of panels.
Face punch.
Yeah, like, you know, like, I don't know, like you would rush things. You would do silhouette shots. You would do, I don't know. But a lot of it was, let's just think about this. Like, how do I get that emotion out of it? You know, let's use a lot of close-ups. Let's use a lot of shots of faces, like with the emotion on their faces, and let's like push in and a lot of quick close-ups and things like, I don't know. So that's something that's very important with writing, and it goes back to the emotion and the heart. And from day one, we knew the emotional kind of through line of all three of these characters, and we knew where Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood were going to go. And we knew the emotional journey we wanted to take them on. And, you know, so knowing that allows you as an artist to go through the book and know, like, okay, right now in this scene, this is the emotional part of this guy, of this character. And we know that we have to hit these beats, because I know that later on down the line, I need to pay this off with this over here, you know, like, but working on a book like that and just listening, like getting into Jeff's head and seeing how he sees story makes you as an artist that much better of a storyteller, because he's not afraid to sit down with you and tell you the secrets of how to write. Like, he's not prideful. He's a humble man, and he's able to say, Jay, this is how I think, and this is why you should do this, and this is why I do this, and this is how, if you can like understand this from my storytelling thing, it's going to make this scene better. Whereas a lot of writers don't do that. A lot of writers don't even want to talk to you. You know, you only ever interact with them on the script. And if it becomes something emotional, it's because maybe you as the artist clicked with something and were able to bring it out. And then sometimes the writer takes the credit for that. Whereas with this, it was a true collaboration between Jeff and I. We both clicked on every single scene. We would talk. If I was having trouble with a scene, I have no problem calling up Jeff and saying, Jeff, I just don't feel like this scene is clicking. I feel like we need to add another panel, or we need to get rid of this splash page. Like there were splash pages and double page spreads in the original script for some of these issues, and I said, let's get rid of those. Let's go back to a 9-panel grid. We can tell so much more story with the 9-panel grid on these 2 pages than just a splash page. The splash page is a nice money shot and it looks cool, but I want the emotion. I want the emotion of this story to really be there. And again, it was just, we're 2 guys who were on the same path, and we were so clued into what each other thought. And when that happens, magic happens on the page. Like, you can't help but draw. You can't help but just allow the story to come through you and emotionally pour out of you. It's the kind of thing where once you work with like this, you're like, I never want to work any other way. Like, if Jeff told me today, all right, I can't work on any comics for 5 years because I got to go do this movie stuff, I might even be like, all right, well, I'll see you in 5 years, and I'm not going to do anything because I don't know if anything I'll do could compare to the kind of working relationship that we have. It's that good. It feels that good to work with him, on these books.
Do you feel, since working with him in such proximity with your collaboration, like, let's say that would happen where, it's possible he gets so busy with the TV show stuff or whatever that, he has to go for a while and do that. Would you ever feel empowered enough to maybe do both, like writing and the drawing for a project of yours?
I think so. I think that could be something in the future, but because I have learned a lot from him, and I've really, especially when we've been planning, like I said, we have like 2 or 3 different things we've been planning. We're kind of trying to plan out, like, what does the next 5 years look like? And so we're planning out a whole bunch of different things, and it's allowed us both as storytellers to just pour out a whole bunch of different ideas. And like I said, at first I was thinking all muscle. And then after a while, I started to think more emotional about the story beats I was saying. And I remember him saying, like, Jay, he's like, you just, like, that was great. That was an emotional heart. That storyline, that story plot you just pitched me, that came from the heart. It wasn't just guns and Batman punching people in the face. Like, it was heart. There was character there. And so I feel like I'm learning it. I don't know if I still would rather it be a collaboration where we both work on something and I let him do what he's best at and then let me do what I'm good at. And let's see if we can produce something together as true partners, because I think that's where, the magic is. But I think if he said, I think if we got to the point where he's like, I'm not going to be able to do anything for a year, I think I would feel comfortable with maybe trying my hand at writing and drawing something. And you know what? He would probably come next to me and even and probably like read the script, help me to plot it out and really make it something good and use it as a learning tool, because I know that that's the kind of person that he would be. He would help me. And so I'm not too scared about that. But it's given me a lot of confidence. It's really helped me to see story more. And now I can't watch like a movie or a TV show without thinking, what's the heart? What's the emotion? Why do I care? Like I question everything now with those lines,
You saw how the sausage was made.
Yeah, exactly.
So we talked a lot about if people would want this story, if they would accept this story. And I think a good sign of something being accepted into the world is when there's a parody and when there's a good parody. And I know you've seen this. Someone took the cover art for the collected edition of Three Jokers, which is the 3 split panels with each of the 3 Jokers, and they replaced your 3 Jokers with shots from a Halloween episode of The Office where Creed, Kevin, and Dwight are all dressed as the Joker, and they put the 3 of them in place of the 3 Jokers, and that's just fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like I forget who said it, but like they said, like, when you got a hit when people are like actually doing like parodies and things of it, like, and I don't know.
Weird Al calls you.
Yeah, I think that's the greatest one. But I don't know. I'm still trying to stay humble here and wait till issue 3 comes out, because again, people may read issue 3 and hate it. I don't think they will, but again, like I said, it's not what people expect. We're gonna do something different, and then we can talk about it then. But I'm really hoping that people react to it, because again, everything with this book has to do with emotion and physical and mental trauma and all of these things, and healing right and healing wrong, and we really carried these themes all the way through, and I'm hoping people will react well to the ending of it, and that we'll have a book that people will enjoy reading in the future, or multiple times. Like, there's only so many books that I've ever read multiple times. Like, I've read Watchmen a couple times. I've read Killing Joke a bunch of times while working on this project. And those are books that I feel like I can go back, I can reread, and I see them through, kind of fresh eyes each time I do it. And I don't know if this book will be that, but I'm hoping it'll be something like that to somebody. And again, we right from the beginning, we set out to tell the best story we could, and we wanted to really show people that we loved the story that we were doing. This was a labor of love. It took a long time, but it was a labor of love. It was something that Jeff and I, we both poured our souls out into this thing. And especially from artistically, it took me 2 years, even more, 2.5 years to draw this whole thing. And I don't know if I ever want to spend that long doing something like that again, but I figured, this is I kind of set out saying, I think this is my last Batman. And if it's going to be my last Batman, and I don't know if it will be, but I'm just like, that was my mindset. It was like,
I just watched Grumpler have a heart attack. Maybe 2 heart attacks happened in there.
Well, to be honest with you though, like, shouldn't that be your goal for everything you like when you do? If you're gonna draw Batman and you're gonna write Batman, shouldn't your goal be, I'm gonna make this thing the best Batman or Joker story of all time, so that I never have to do another one again? Because I essentially get, like, Killing Joke, Brian Boland drew that one issue and that was it. He was done. He made the ultimate. He put this ultimate mark on that character, and anything else would be less. And like, he can't come back and do another Batman thing, like, unless it was with Alan Moore and they felt like they really had something that would be better. Then what's the point? It's like you kind of want to just I set out that right from the beginning. It was like, I want this to be my final Batman story. I do this story and I never touch Batman ever again, because it's the best Batman I could ever do. And and maybe it won't be that, like I said, like, maybe it won't be that. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe we'll do something in the future with Batman again. I don't know, but that was kind of my mindset from the beginning. Let's put it all out on the page. Let's make it the best story we can. Let's have no regrets. And then when it all is said and done, we can be proud of the work that we did. And I feel that I wanted the readers and the fans, when they bought the book, to get their money's worth. And I wanted them to be excited, and I wanted them to have that feeling of excitement that you get when you, like you had said, like, when you pick up this book, it feels special. That's what I wanted. Like, I wanted it to feel special. I wanted the fan to get that feeling that they had when they were 14 years old and they picked up that one comic that really resonated with them when they were 14. I think I have a theory that all comic fans are chasing the feeling that they had when they were 14 years old. And there's a book for everybody around that time that really spoke to them and got them hooked on comics. Maybe you weren't 14, maybe you were 12, maybe you were a little older. Like with me, it was Hush when I was maybe like 17. But I remember like feeling that excitement when I was 14, seeing like copies of like Jim Lee's X-Men. At that time, it had already been out for a long time, but I had bought old copies of X-Men, and it was just like this feeling of like, wow, like this is incredible, this is special. That's what I wanted out of this book, and I wanted to bring back that feeling, and that's why I was really happy that DC would do things like allow us to have the embossed title, like the title pops out of the on the cover there, and the card
like
on the
Killing
back,
Joke.
like Killing Joke, because that's like a little detail, but it adds, like even Batman the Cult had that, like it had a little bit of that embossing. It just adds a little bit of a special feeling to it, and it has the spine, instead of it being a soft like a floppy, it has the spine on the book, and that goes back to Killing Joke again. It's like like there's a feeling there that we really wanted, and I really wanted, most of all, I wanted the fans to look at this book and see the passion and the love that we put into it. And because I believe that's so important on selling people comics. I feel so many comics, again, I'll sound negative here, but so many comics are half-assed, and so many comics are just thrown out just to throw them out, and the art looks like garbage, and instead of striving for the best, people settle for mediocrity. And I've never understood that. I don't like, why not strive to be Brian Boland? He's the best comic. He drew the best issue of Batman ever with Killing Joke. It's the most pristine, perfect art. And I don't think my art comes anywhere near that, but I tried my hardest to get to something similar to that, because like, why not? Why not push yourself to be the next Brian Boland, or why not push yourself to be the next Dave Gibbons or Jim Lee? Like, if you're not willing to do that as a comic artist, why are you doing this job? Like, this is such an incredible and beautiful art form, and it's dying because of garbage, half-assed work that's constantly being pushed out on comic stores that they can't sell. We need to go back to having passion about the comics that we put out, work hard on them, quality over quantity, and artists need to push themselves. And there are a lot of great and incredible artists out there, and they do this because you can see it in their work. You see it when you look at a Ryan Stegman comic. It looks incredible. You know, you see it. Like I always love the classic guys like Capullo. Like Capullo puts his heart into every panel and into every page. You can feel it when you read a Greg Capullo comic. And Mark Silvestri does that, and Dave Finch and Jim Lee and all of these guys that I loved. Like, they still have that passion. And there's guys like Jerome Opeña. I love that guy, and Ivan Rice. And like, there are lots of passionate artists who want to do this, and they're doing it. But we need more of that. We need more people who want to push and go further and do another Killing Joke. You know, like, you know, that's what we set out to do. Let's do something that I don't know if we'll be better than the Killing Joke, but that's where we're going to aim. Let's aim for it. Like, why not? You know?
I was 14 when I bought Killing Joke. I was 14 years old. I'm dating myself, but so yeah, I remember that feeling.
Grumps is right there with you.
Yeah, it's like comics are very special, and that's my passion. I love them. I love it, and I that's why I get so nervous, and so that's why my confidence wavers, because I don't. It's like when you pour everything out into the page, you really have nothing more. It's all there. You bore your soul on the page, and you just hope that people will respond and they'll feel something. If you can get the reader to feel something, then you've done your job. And you know, I'm proud of this, and I really hope that it resonates with people, and you know, I've done everything I could with this book, and I fought so hard for this thing for 2.5 years. I fought and I fought and I fought, and excuse me, it just feels so good to see this thing come out, and people are reacting well to it, and I tried to actually like pull myself away from social media and just kind of escape, because I really want to just escape until this thing is all out, because I can't take it. Like I don't like seeing the negatives and the positive. I just want to get away, because I bore so much of everything with this project. I want to see it come to its conclusion, and I'm still kind of nervous, and I want it to have that big ending that I feel it. I just want it to resonate, and I don't know. There's a lot. I put a lot of my life and everything is in this book, and I.
So
Well,
I hope this helps. But the Friday before book 2 dropped, I was reading the previews, and it was for the first 4 pages, and Joker comes home to his family or whatever, and I'm reading this, and at the end of the last page, I was like, oh no, like, oh no, what does he do to these people? Like, oh no. And then it's like, I gotta last the weekend. So that's what you did to me, Jeff. So I hope that helps. I hope that's the desired reaction.
Well, we're getting close now to not only yourself but all of us getting that closure and seeing the end of this. As of the time we're recording this, we are exactly 3 weeks away from the release of book 3. So book 3 hits stores October 27th. So happy birthday to me on that day. It's a nice birthday present for me. Nice. But books 1 and 2 are in stores now. If you haven't already done it, haul your ass out to a comic shop right now and see if you can track down copies. 1 and 2 are out now. Book 3, October 27th. We should let Jay get out of here and get back to life and get ready for that sleepless night on October 26th.
Yeah, I'm really thankful that you guys had me on, and like this is like the only interview that I've done. I canceled all my interviews. I canceled everything. Jeff actually talked me into that. He said, just get off of all social media and cancel all, like, don't talk about it. Don't talk about this book. Just let it. He's like, it just let it go. Like, just let it happen and let it come out and just be quiet about it. But I wanted to come on with you guys because you guys have had me on a bunch of times, and I really love talking with you guys. And I had told Robin, let's just go for an hour, but I knew that we wouldn't be able to do that. I knew once I got going and was passionate and everything about it, I would keep talking. But again, I just want to say, like, I know I've sounded. There's been a lot of people probably picked up that there was some negativity in the way I've been just talking about some different things. Again, and I think it's because like I just had said, I put so much of everything on the line for this book, and I really believed in it. And it does feel good to see that it's being received well. And DC has really done a great job at publishing this book and using the best printing techniques and using awesome cover stock and they're putting together some awesome hardcovers right now, and we got plans for future hardcovers and I don't know if they'll ever do an absolute edition. I'd love to see
I was just gonna say that.
I'd love to see like a black and white version with all just the black and white.
The noirs, those noir books that they do.
But like DC has done a lot of that, is pouring a lot into this as well, and but I think, in all honesty, in the end, I think sometimes when you have to fight for something, and you have to fight to prove something to a company who maybe just doesn't see the bigger picture, or maybe they're distracted by a lot of other things that were going on within the halls of DC Comics, it only makes you perform better. And it only spurred Jeff and I on to create a better product. We were never completely satisfied until that final print copy, like print file, went off. Like we fought, and in the end, to hear some of the comments that Jim Lee sent to us, and Scott Snyder, and some people that we really highly respect within the industry, it felt really good to hear that and even Dan DiDio like sent me a message saying like, guys, like you did it, and I'm so proud of you, and like it was like that felt so good when that first issue came out, and when the second issue came out, and then when Jim read the third issue, so I think some of that negativity, some of those things that we were angered about and whatnot helped us to produce a better book in the end. And we're thankful that DC allowed us to go through this. And I think in a strange way, I'm thankful for some of some of the butting heads and different opinions from DC and whatnot, because in the end, it just made the book that much better. And I'm really hoping, and they're proud of the book. They're very proud of the book and the finished product of it. And we are too. And all of this stuff makes for great stories in the future, and it makes for great stories now. And again, the reason why we wanted to do this is because number one, we loved the characters, and we loved Batman, and we loved DC Comics, but the other thing is that we loved the fans, and that's what we really wanted, to give them something that was worthy of their hard-earned money, especially right now with everything that's going on. And we wanted to give, and then thirdly, I would also say we really wanted to give a boost to the stores. We wanted to drive people into the stores, and I feel that we clicked on all three of those things, and
absolutely
very thankful for you guys for sticking with this and sticking with us as creators, being slow as heck and taking our time, and I hope we have a payoff that you will enjoy in the end, and I'm thankful for everybody who's ever supported me in my career and waited, and hopefully the next things we do together, you won't have to wait this long for the next book to come out. We're already starting some stuff right now, so but it was a journey, that's for sure, and I'm very proud of it and very thankful for everything that we've gone through, because it just helped to it was like iron sharpening iron, if you will, and that's how I think sometimes the best books and the best stories and the best works of art, film, whatever, are born out of struggle and out of iron sharpening iron, and then in the end it's like when you purify things in the fire, and only the good stuff comes out. So that's kind of what happened with this, I feel. And so I'm excited for the book 3 to come out, also because that same week my wife is due with our third child. So awesome. there's all these threes. There's all these weird threes. Like we're gonna have a third child the week that the third book of 3 Jokers comes out. So we're excited for that, and so that's going to be another milestone in my life, and so very proud of that. But I'm really excited. I can't wait for people to read issue 3, and again, just thank you everybody who bought copies of the book and bought multiple copies of the book. I bought so many copies of this book. Like I stocked up because I never really get too many comps from DC. I wanted to make sure I had a lot of this thing for the future, just so that I had them, because I knew it would go quick, and it did. And so you came and got more at Rogues. I bought books from all 3 stores, and I've stocked them up, and I put them all in my little storage area, and I have them, and I can say from now on I have them. So
nice.
Well, maybe we wrap her up there. Like we said, book 3, October 27th. Thank you so much, Jason, for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And like we had mentioned, like when issue 3 comes out, we'll give it a couple weeks, and then maybe we can do like a really long. We might even have to divide it into a couple parts, or maybe we'll do a big kind of spoiler cast, and we'll go through it, and I'll answer every question totally freely. And and we can do that, because I think that would be interesting to do, but I don't want to do that right now, because I don't want to say things about issue 3 that I don't want to slip up. So, but we'll do that, and I think people will really enjoy that.
Yeah, awesome.
Definitely.
Look forward to it. All right, 3 Jokers, October 27th. This was Jason Fabok. This was Bat Force Radio. Thank you for listening.